The Silent Guardians. The medical ship Hippocrates drifted silently through the star-speckled void, its pristine white hull gleaming under distant starlight. Within its state-of-the-art medical bay, Dr. Elena Santos carefully adjusted the settings on a quantum microscope, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display of viral particles attacking alien cell structures. "Analysis complete, Doctor," announced HFY, the ship's medical eye. "The Centaurian plague shows a 98.7% match with the theoretical models. The synthesized cure should be effective." Elena allowed herself a small smile. After 3 months of research, they finally had a working treatment for the devastating illness that had already claimed millions of lives on Proxima Centauri's colony worlds. The Centaurians, despite their advanced civilization, had been helpless against this artificially engineered virus. "Begin production of the cure immediately," she ordered, already mentally calculating distribution logistics. "How many can we synthesize in the next 24 hours? "Approximately 3 million doses, Doctor. Enough for the most critically affected regions." The ship shuddered slightly, an unusual occurrence that immediately caught Elena's attention. Before she could query HFY, the medical base comm system crackled to life. "Dr. Santos to the bridge immediately." Captain Sarah Chen's usually calm voice carried an edge Elena had never heard before. When Elena arrived on the bridge, she found the command crew intently focused on their stations. Through the main viewport, she saw what had caused the disturbance. 3 massive warships had dropped out of hyperspace directly in their path. Their angular, predatory designs marked them as vessels of the Imperial hegemony. "They're hailing us," Lieutenant Rivera reported from the communications station. Captain Chen nodded grimly. On screen, the holographic display materialized, revealing the stern face of an Imperial commander. His gray skin and crystalline ridges identified him as a member of the hegemony's ruling species. "Medical vessel Hippocrates." The commander's translated voice resonated through the bridge. "You are in violation of Imperial Decree 147. Your vessel carries prohibited genetic manipulation technology. Power down your systems and prepare for boarding." Elena felt her blood run cold. The hegemony, in their zealous pursuit of genetic purity, had banned numerous medical technologies they deemed unnatural. They couldn't have picked a worse time to enforce their barbaric laws. "Imperial Commander," Captain Chen replied diplomatically, "we are conducting a humanitarian mission under Article 7 of the Galactic Concordat. The Centaurian government has formally requested our assistance. We carry no prohibited technologies, only medical supplies and treatments." "Your treatments violate the natural order," the commander sneered. "We have tracked your research into genetic manipulation. The plague affecting the Centaurians is nature's way of cleansing weakness. Your interference will not be tolerated." Elena stepped forward, unable to remain silent. "Commander, millions are dying. Children, parents, entire families. The plague isn't natural. It's an engineered weapon. We have proof." "Your proof is irrelevant. Power down in 10 minutes, or we will open fire." The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in tense silence. "Options?" Captain Chen asked her crew. "Their ships outgun us 20-1, Lieutenant Rivera reported. "Our shields won't last 30 seconds against their weapons. We could try to run, but their engines are superior." Elena's mind raced. In the medical bay below, the synthesizers were already producing the cure that could save millions. They couldn't let the hegemony destroy it all because of their twisted ideology. "Captain," HFY's calm voice interrupted, "I'm detecting unusual quantum signatures from Earth. Multiple subspace channels are opening on frequencies I've never seen before." Before anyone could respond, a new transmission cut through their communications. The voice was human, but it carried an authority that made everyone on the bridge stand straighter. "Medical ship Hippocrates, this is Admiral Diana Walsh of the Earth Defense Force. Continue your mission. Help is coming." Captain Chen's eyes widened. "Earth Defense Force? There's no such." Her words were cut off as space itself seemed to tear open around them. From the quantum rifts emerged ships unlike anything Elena had ever seen. They were impossibly dark, seeming to absorb the very starlight around them. Their hulls bore no visible weapons, but their very presence radiated power. 7 of these mysterious vessels took up defensive positions around the Hippocrates, their appearance causing visible confusion among the Imperial warships. Imperial hegemony vessels. Admiral Walsh's voice broadcasted on all frequencies. You are in violation of multiple treaties by threatening a medical vessel. Stand down immediately. The Imperial commander's response was predictable. Unknown vessels, this is an Imperial matter. Interfere, and you will be destroyed. Very well. Admiral Walsh's tone carried a note of resignation. You were warned. What followed would be talked about in whispered tones across the galaxy for centuries to come. The dark ships moved with impossible grace, their hulls rippling with energy patterns that defied physics. When the Imperial vessels opened fire, their energy weapons simply ceased to exist halfway to their targets, absorbed into quantum singularities that appeared and vanished in microseconds. The Earth ship's response was devastating in its precision. They didn't fire energy weapons or missiles. Instead, portions of the Imperial ships simply ceased to exist, replaced by empty space. No explosions, no debris, just surgical removal of key systems that left the vessels powerless and drifting. Imperial vessels. Admiral Walsh transmitted again. Your weapons and engines have been temporarily displaced. They now exist approximately 3 minutes in the past, in a parallel quantum state. They can be restored, along with the atmospheric integrity of your command sections, once you agree to leave this sector and never again interfere with human medical missions. The response was immediate. We agree to your terms. Elena watched in amazement as the Earth ships restored the displaced systems with the same impossible technology that had removed them. The Imperial vessels retreated immediately, their sensors undoubtedly gathering every scrap of data they could about humanity's hidden defenders. Hippocrates, you're clear to proceed, Admiral Walsh transmitted. Complete your mission. We'll ensure you're not disturbed again. As the dark ships took up escort positions around the medical vessel, Elena returned to her lab, her mind reeling from what she had witnessed. Humanity had presented itself to the galaxy as healers, focused solely on medicine and peace, but it seemed their ancestors had been wise enough to maintain guardians in the shadows, waiting and watching, ready to protect those who dedicated their lives to saving others. The Hippocrates resumed its course to the Centaurian colonies, its medical bay humming with the production of the cure that would save millions. Above, below, and around them, Earth's silent guardians watched, their very existence a reminder that humanity's dedication to healing was a choice, and one they were fully capable of defending. Ancient protocols. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility that didn't officially exist, Commander James Chen stood before a wall of quantum-linked displays, watching the aftermath of humanity's reveal unfold across the galaxy. The command center of Earth Defense Force headquarters hummed with activity as analysts processed the flood of incoming data. The hegemony's already calling an emergency session of the Galactic Council, reported Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. They're claiming we violated about 30 different treaties by hiding military technology. Chen allowed himself a slight smile. Interesting how they're not mentioning their attempt to destroy a medical ship. The facility had existed for over 2 centuries, hidden from the galaxy and even from most of humanity. When Earth had joined the galactic community, they had presented themselves as a civilization devoted to healing and peace. That hadn't been a lie, but it hadn't been the whole truth either. Admiral Walsh's battle group is maintaining escort position around the Hippocrates. Rodriguez continued. The cure distribution is proceeding without further interference. Dr. Santos reports a 99.8% success rate in early treatments. A new alert flashed across the main display. Chen's expression hardened as he read the incoming data. Multiple hegemony battle groups are mobilizing. They're trying to track the quantum signatures of our ships. "Let them try," a voice announced from the doorway. Admiral Diana Walsh strode into the command center, her silver hair and weathered face reflecting decades of service in humanity's hidden fleet. They're about 3 centuries behind in quantum mechanics. They literally cannot perceive how our ships operate. Chen turned to face his superior officer. "The secret's out now, Admiral. The galaxy knows we kept our weapons." "No, Commander," Walsh corrected, bringing up a new holographic display. "They know we kept our guardians. There's a difference." The display showed footage from the Hippocrates medical bay. Dr. Santos and her team worked tirelessly, administering the cure to critically ill Centaurians. Parents were reunited with children, families made whole again. It was a stark contrast to the military tension building across the sector. "Our ancestors made a choice," Walsh continued, addressing the entire command center. "They looked at our history of warfare, our capacity for violence, and they decided to turn away from it. But they weren't naive. They knew that sometimes the power to heal isn't enough. Sometimes you need the power to protect those who heal." New alerts flashed across the displays. The Galactic Council was convening an emergency session. Representatives from 100 species were demanding explanations, threatening sanctions, or seeking alliances. The political landscape of the galaxy was shifting by the minute. "Commander," Walsh's voice carried the weight of command, "prepare a quantum fold to the council chambers. It's time we explained ourselves to the galaxy." The journey to the Galactic Council station took mere moments through quantum space. The Earth Defense Force ships emerged from their fold with characteristic precision, their dark hulls standing in stark contrast to the gleaming diplomatic vessels gathered around the station. Inside the council chambers, representatives from across the galaxy sat in tiered rows, their arguments and accusations creating a cacophony of translated voices. The Imperial hegemony's delegation dominated the proceedings, their spokesperson practically vibrating with righteous indignation. "They deceived us all," the Imperial representative thundered. "They claimed to be peaceful, to have turned away from military pursuits, all while hiding weapons that violate fundamental laws of physics." Admiral Walsh stepped onto the speaking platform, her uniform bearing no rank or insignia, just the ancient symbol of Earth's medical corps intertwined with a sword. The chamber fell silent. "Distinguished representatives," she began, her voice clear and unwavering. 2 centuries ago, humanity made a choice. We looked to the stars and saw 2 paths before us. One led to conquest, to carrying our wars into the heavens. The other led to healing, to using our knowledge to help rather than harm. She gestured, and holographic displays materialized throughout the chamber, showing scenes from across human history. Wars and healing, destruction and reconstruction, violence and compassion. "We chose healing," Walsh continued. "We devoted our best minds to medicine, to solving the problems that plagued not just our species, but all species. We shared our discoveries freely, asked nothing in return, except the opportunity to help more people." The displays shifted to show the recent confrontation with the Imperial ships, but from a different perspective, highlighting how the Earth vessels had disabled rather than destroyed their opponents, had restored what they had taken away. But we remembered our history. We remembered that there will always be those who see healing as weakness, who would prey upon those who help others. So we kept our guardians hidden away, hoping they would never be needed. She turned to face the Imperial delegation directly. "Today, you proved we were right to do so. You threatened a medical ship carrying treatment for millions of your own citizens. You would have destroyed it, condemned those millions to death, all because you feared their method of healing." The chamber erupted in murmurs and exclamations as the implications sank in. The Imperial representative sputtered, trying to formulate a response. "We are not warriors," Walsh's voice cut through the noise. "We are healers who remember how to fight. Our ships do not carry weapons of mass destruction. They carry precise tools designed to protect without destroying, to defend without vengeance. Just as our medical technology seeks to heal without harm, Our defensive technology seeks to protect without unnecessary destruction. In the command center beneath the Pacific, Commander Chen watched the proceedings with growing pride. The political storm would take time to settle, but the truth was finally out. Humanity had not abandoned its strength when it chose to heal. They had simply learned when and how to use it. The quantum displays showed Dr. Santos continuing her work on the Hippocrates, saving lives while the galaxy's politicians debated. Above her, the dark ships maintained their vigil, silent guardians of humanity's chosen path. They were a reminder to the galaxy that compassion was not weakness, and that the choice to heal was all the more powerful when backed by the strength to defend that choice. Thunder and light. The Imperial hegemony's response to humanity's revelation came not in words but in warships. 300 vessels of the Imperial Grand Fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Centaurian system, their weapons charged and their intentions clear. Among them was the flagship Eternal Dominion, nearly the size of a small moon. Dr. Elena Santos watched the tactical display from the Hippocrates medical bay with growing concern. They had already distributed the cure to 40% of the affected population, but millions still waited for treatment. Every hour of delay meant more lives lost to the plague. Status of the cure production. She asked ARIA, trying to focus on her mission despite the looming threat. Synthesizers operating at maximum capacity, Doctor. Another 1,000,000 doses ready for distribution in 3 hours. The ship's comm system activated. Dr. Santos to the bridge. Captain Chen's voice was tight with tension. The Imperials are broadcasting their demands. When Elena arrived, the bridge was already filled with the translated voice of Grand Admiral Vexthor, Supreme Commander of the Imperial Fleet. Surrender your medical ships and defense vessels immediately. Your quantum technology violates natural law. Your interference in genetic affairs ends now. You have 1 standard hour to comply, or we will cleanse this system of your corruption. Admiral Walsh's response came through on all frequencies, her voice carrying the same calm authority it had in the council chambers. Grand Admiral, we are treating a weaponized plague that your own scientists confirmed was artificially engineered. These are your citizens we're trying to save. The weak must be culled. Vexthor's response was chilling in its certainty. Those who survive will be stronger for it. This is the Imperial way. The transmission cut off. Elena felt her hands clench into fists. They're going to kill their own people just to stop us from helping them. Some ideologies fear healing more than death. Captain Chen replied softly. They see our ability to cure their engineered plague as a threat to their control. New contacts appeared on the tactical display. Quantum rifts opening throughout the system. The Earth Defense Force had anticipated this response. 40 ships emerged, still dramatically outnumbered but showing no sign of concern. All medical vessels, continue your work. Admiral Walsh transmitted. We'll handle the Imperial fleet. What followed was a battle unlike anything recorded in galactic history. The Imperial ships opened fire with enough firepower to shatter a planet. Their energy weapons and mass drivers creating a web of destruction that should have annihilated the Earth fleet. Instead, space itself seemed to warp and twist. The human vessels phased in and out of normal space-time, their quantum drives allowing them to exist in multiple states simultaneously. Energy beams passed through empty space where ships had been microseconds before. Mass driver rounds hit quantum echoes that dissolved into nothingness. The Earth fleet's response was equally impossible by conventional physics. They didn't fire traditional weapons. Instead, they manipulated space-time itself. Imperial ships found their weapons systems existing 5 minutes in the past. Their engines shifted 2 minutes into the future. Their computer cores transposed into parallel quantum states. Fascinating, ARIA commented as they watched the battle unfold. They're not actually damaging the Imperial ships. They're selectively altering their temporal coordinates to disable them. Elena understood. Even in battle, humanity's defenders were choosing the path of minimum harm. They could have destroyed the Imperial fleet, but instead they were carefully disabling them. ensuring the crews remained unharmed. Grand Admiral Vex Thor's voice boomed across all frequencies, rage evident even through the translation. What sorcery is this? Fight with honor. Face us in real combat. We are not here to fight, Admiral, Walsh responded calmly. We are here to protect our healers. Your ships are disabled but undamaged. Your crews are safe. Stand down, and we can restore everything to normal spacetime. Never. Vex Thor commanded his flagship to charge, bringing to bear weapons that could crack a planet's crust. The Imperial hegemony does not surrender. Walsh's response was tinged with sadness. Then you give us no choice. The Eternal Dominion fired, and its beam struck itself from 3 seconds in the future, its own weapons perfectly synchronized by the Earth ship's quantum manipulation to create a temporal loop. Systems overloaded across the massive vessel as it essentially attacked itself. Temporal attack patterns complete, reported Commander Chen from Earth Command. The Imperial flagship's weapons are locked in a causality loop. They literally cannot fire without hitting themselves. Throughout the system, Imperial ships hung powerless in space, their mighty weapons and advanced shields rendered meaningless by technology they couldn't even comprehend. Not a single vessel had been destroyed. Not a single crew member had been harmed. They had simply been stopped. Attention Imperial Fleet, Walsh transmitted one final time. Your ships have been quantum locked. You can still retreat under maneuvering power. I suggest you do so before the temporal distortions give your crews severe headaches. The retreat, when it came, was almost anticlimactic. The mighty Imperial fleet limped away under auxiliary power, their pride hurt far more than their ships. As they disappeared into hyperspace, Alina returned to her work in the medical bay, more certain than ever of humanity's path. They had faced the mightiest fleet in the galaxy and defeated it without taking a single life. They had proven that the power to heal and the power to fight could coexist. That strength didn't require destruction, and that mercy wasn't weakness. As the Hippocrates resumed its mission, distributing the cure to the grateful Centaurian population, Alina realized that humanity had sent the galaxy a powerful message. They were healers by choice, but that choice was protected by capabilities that redefined the very nature of warfare. They had transcended the need for destruction, developing defense systems that protected life even as they neutralized threats. The Imperial hegemony had come expecting a conventional battle. Instead, they had faced an enemy that refused to kill them, that defeated them with such technological superiority that it bordered on compassion. It was a lesson they, and the galaxy, would not soon forget. The price of peace. The Galactic Council's emergency session had stretched into its 3rd day. Representatives from 1,000 worlds struggled to come to terms with humanity's revelation. The chamber's holographic displays showed footage of the battle on endless repeat, the Imperial fleet's devastating weapons harmlessly passing through quantum-shifted human vessels, while Earth's defenders disabled their opponents without destruction. In a quiet corner of the Council Station's medical wing, Dr. Elena Santos worked alongside alien doctors, teaching them how to synthesize and administer the Centaurian plague cure. The medical bay had become neutral ground, where even Imperial citizens came seeking help, politics forgotten in the face of suffering. Your methods are elegant, commented Dr. Zinra, a hegemony medical officer who had defied orders to be here. Her crystalline features reflected the soft light of the medical displays. You could have kept this knowledge to yourself. Elena adjusted the quantum microscope, showing her colleague the cure's interaction with infected cells. That's not who we are. Knowledge that can save lives should be shared. The station's warning systems activated suddenly, announcing the arrival of unexpected vessels. Elena rushed to the observation deck, joining Commander James Chen, who was already studying the tactical displays. Through the vast windows, they watched as ships began emerging from hyperspace, not just Imperial vessels, but ships from dozens of species. Within hours, the space around the station was filled with representatives from every major civilization in the galaxy. They're all requesting permission to speak to the Council, Chen noted, scanning the diplomatic channels. Some are declaring support for Earth. Others are demanding we share our quantum technology. A few are calling for our immediate quarantine as a threat to galactic stability. Elena noticed something interesting in the arrival patterns. The medical ships are being allowed through first, she observed. Even the most hostile species are respecting healthcare vessels. They've learned that lesson, at least, Chen agreed. No one wants to risk attracting our Guardians' attention. The council chamber had to be expanded via holographic space to accommodate all the new arrivals. Admiral Walsh stood calmly at the center, facing the assembled representatives of galactic civilization. The cacophony of voices gradually settled into silence as she began to speak. "You've all come seeking answers," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. "About our technology, our capabilities, our intentions. But first, I want you to look at something." The displays shifted to show real-time footage from across the galaxy. Hospitals where human doctors worked alongside alien colleagues. Research facilities where shared knowledge had led to breakthrough treatments. Rescue missions where human medical ships braved danger to save lives. "This is who we are," Walsh continued. "This is who we chose to be. When we developed quantum technology, we had two paths before us. We could have built an empire that none of you could have resisted. Instead, we chose to heal." The Arcturian representative, their energy form flickering with agitation, spoke up. "But you kept the weapons. You maintained military superiority in secret." "No," Walsh corrected. "We kept our Guardians. There's a fundamental difference between maintaining the ability to defend and preparing for conquest. Our ships carry no traditional weapons. They're designed to protect without destroying, to disable without death." "The distinction is meaningless," the Imperial representative interrupted. "Your technology makes you the dominant power in the galaxy." "Does it?" Walsh asked quietly. "In the recent battle, how many Imperial ships were destroyed? How many crews were killed? We could have annihilated your fleet. Instead, we sent them home, their pride wounded but their lives intact." Elena stepped forward, unable to remain silent. "While you're all debating military implications, people are dying. The Centaurian plague has spread to 3 new systems. We have the cure. Will you let politics prevent us from saving those lives?" Her words sparked a new round of debate, but with a different tone. Species that had been historical enemies found themselves arguing on the same side. The possibility of a new galactic order began to emerge, one where medical ships traveled under the protection of humanity's guardians, where healing took precedence over ancient conflicts. The hegemony's diplomatic stance shifted subtly. They couldn't admit they had been wrong, but they could declare a temporary cooperation agreement for humanitarian purposes. Other species followed suit, finding diplomatic language to accept the new reality without losing face. In the weeks that followed, a new pattern emerged. Human medical ships continued their missions across the galaxy, but now they traveled openly under the escort of the dark quantum ships. The sight of these vessels triggered not fear, but reassurance. Their presence meant that politics and conflict would be set aside in favor of healing. The Earth Defense Force established clear protocols. They would not intervene in local conflicts or power struggles. They would not share quantum technology or participate in military actions. Their sole purpose was to ensure that medical missions could proceed unhindered, that those who sought to heal would be protected. Elena found herself working more closely with Commander Chen as the medical and defense forces developed new cooperation protocols. They began teaching other species not just about medicine, but about the philosophy that had led humanity to its unique position. The understanding that true strength lay in the ability to heal rather than harm. "We're rewriting the rules of power," Chen observed one evening as they watched ships from former enemy species dock peacefully at the medical station. "Not through force or diplomacy, but through healing." Elena nodded, understanding. Humanity had revealed itself not as a conquering power, but as something far more revolutionary. A civilization that had mastered the ultimate technologies of both healing and warfare, yet chose to use that mastery in defense of peace. Balance of power. 1 year after humanity's revelation, the medical ship Hippocrates approached Earth's orbital stations. Dr. Elena Santos stood at the observation deck, watching her homeworld grow larger in the viewport. The planet's surface glittered with the lights of civilization, but it was the orbital space that had changed most dramatically. Medical ships from 100 species now docked at Earth's healing centers, their crews learning not just human medical techniques, but the philosophy behind them. Among them floated the dark shapes of Earth's guardian vessels, no longer hidden but proudly displaying their dual purpose, the medical caduceus wrapped around a sword. Quite a change from when we first shipped out, Captain Chen commented, joining Elena at the viewport. Remember when we had to hide our protectors in quantum space? Elena nodded, recalling those tense early days. The galaxies changed more than we could have imagined. The quantum communicator chimed, and Admiral Walsh's hologram materialized on the bridge. Doctor, Commander. The Galactic Council's final vote just concluded. The Protected Medical Transport Treaty has been ratified. All medical ships are now officially neutral vessels, protected by Earth's Defense Force during humanitarian missions. It was the culmination of a year's worth of diplomatic work, building on the foundation laid by humanity's dramatic revelation of their true nature. The treaty formalized what had already become common practice: human quantum ships escorting medical vessels of all species, ensuring their missions of mercy could proceed without interference. The Imperial hegemony's delegation voted in favor. Walsh continued, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. Seems their encounter with our quantum technology convinced them to reconsider their position on natural selection. The tactical display activated, showing a new vessel approaching Earth. It was massive, its crystalline hull catching starlight in rainbow patterns. The first hegemony medical ship, built with cooperation from human engineers. They're calling it the Transformation, Chen noted. Symbolic name. Elena had helped design its medical base, combining Imperial biotechnology with human quantum healing systems. It represented everything they had fought for. The idea that strength and healing could coexist, that ancient enemies could become partners in saving lives. The ship's comm system activated with an incoming transmission. Medical ship Hippocrates, this is Dr. Zinra of the Transformation. Request permission to dock alongside for the technology transfer. Elena smiled, recognizing her former student's voice. In the years since their first meeting at the council station, Zinra had become one of the strongest advocates for cooperation between species. She had helped convince the Imperial leadership that true strength lay not in culling the weak, but in healing them. Permission granted. Transformation, Elena responded. Welcome to Earth. As the massive Imperial vessel maneuvered into position, Elena remembered the words of her grandfather, one of the original architects of Earth's hidden fleet. Power without compassion is tyranny, he had told her. But compassion without power is helpless. The trick is finding the balance. Humanity had found that balance. Their quantum ships could have dominated the galaxy, enforced their will on any species. Instead, they used that power solely to protect those who healed, to ensure that medicine and mercy could reach those in need. The results spoke for themselves. In the year since the revelation, interspecies conflicts had dropped by 60%. The sight of Earth's dark guardians had become a symbol not of military might, but of protected humanitarian missions. Former enemies now worked together in medical research, sharing knowledge that had once been hoarded. We're receiving a priority transmission from the Centaurian colonies, Araya announced. They're requesting permission to broadcast to all ships in the system. Put it through, Captain Chen ordered. The holographic displays filled with images from the colonies, crowds gathered in streets and squares, their crystalline bodies glowing with health. It was the 1-year anniversary of the plague's cure, and they were celebrating not just their survival, but the changes it had sparked across the galaxy. We remember. The Centaurian speaker's translated voice rang clear. We remember when death stalked our worlds. We remember when politics and pride nearly prevented our salvation. And we remember when humanity showed us a better way. The images shifted to show the battle that had changed everything. Earth's quantum ships protecting the medical mission, defeating the Imperial fleet without taking a single life. They could have conquered. Instead, they chose to heal. They could have destroyed. Instead, they chose to protect. They showed us that true power lies not in the ability to take life, but in the choice to preserve it. In orbital stations around Earth, crews from 100 species watched the broadcast. Former enemies worked side by side in medical bays, their ancient hatreds forgotten in the face of a greater purpose. The universe is vast and often cruel, the speaker continued. But today we stand together. Today, our medical ships travel between the stars under the protection of humanity's guardians. Today we understand that strength and mercy are not opposing forces, but partners in the greatest mission of all, the preservation of life. Elena touched the medical symbol on her uniform, the ancient caduceus that now appeared intertwined with a sword on vessels throughout the galaxy. It represented everything humanity had achieved, not through conquest or dominance, but through the simple choice to heal rather than harm. The dark quantum ships continued their eternal vigil, silent guardians of a new galactic order. They were a reminder that humanity's dedication to healing was not a sign of weakness, but a choice made from a position of incredible strength. They had mastered the power to destroy worlds, and chose instead to save them. As the Hippocrates docked at Earth's medical station, Elena realized that humanity had given the galaxy something far more valuable than advanced technology or military protection. They had provided an example, proof that civilization could advance beyond the cycle of violence and revenge. That true power lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the choice to heal. The galaxy would never be the same. And that, she decided, was the greatest victory of all.